Ready? Now it's official. Thank you guys for your patience. We're going to get started even though our other board member's not here, and that's totally okay because we want to make sure we're respecting your time, and we also just like thank you guys for being here. You could be anywhere else right now, so we appreciate it. All right. So with that, first order is roll call.
Bell Jordan is coming late. Glickman is absent. Ronegro? Here. Roth is absent. Shearer is absent. Sturbins?
Here.
Warshaw?
Here. All right. First thing we usually do is we begin now with public comment. Do we have any submitted public comments?
We do not.
Okay. Well, then you have a public comment?
Yes.
Even though it's not official, I'll allow it. Go.
Thank you. First, you're not going
All right. We're excited to hear your public comments, sir.
Members of the board, good evening. My name is Chris Dager and I'm a first grader at Highland. I always say that if you get great service or bad service, tell the management. You are the management and I am getting great service. I am lucky to have started at the Early Childhood Center with Miss Koyani as my teacher. And I moved to Highland. Dr. Bradley is my principal, and she has created a strong culture where I can learn, grow, play, and be happy. Thank you for recruit or whatever that word is, and empowering her. Dr. Bradley is someone who travels, is curious, still learns like a student, and is respectful to all those other people from all over the world who attend Highland. Please continue to hire people that still want to learn and grow, people like Dr. Bradley. Thank you!
Your reading was so good. Trina, you just accused me. Okay. All right. First off, that reading was amazing. Second off, thank you for just bringing all the cuteness in the world to this meeting. If anybody else wants to make public comments that are that cute, you are more than welcome to. Otherwise, we're going to move forward, and we're going to start off with superintendent.
Thank you again. That was incredible, very powerful, very brave, so well spoken. And kudos to the shout outs, Dr. Bradley and the team at Highland as well as the ECC. Thank you just for the support and the love. And thanks for coming to the meeting. That was great. We're going to get you a job tomorrow. So great job.
This is why I want a student council.
We have a lot more really good student information tonight. So thank you all so much for coming. We're incredibly proud of you. We have two big recognitions with our Old Orchard Junior High team. The first is our Science Olympiad team. The second is National Spanish Awards. I'll start out with the Science Olympiad team. I want to give a shout out first and foremost to Mr. Augustine, Mr. Kenmatsu, and of course Ms. Cholis. If we could give them a quick round of applause. So we had 25 members of our OJH Student Science Olympiad team who were able to compete, and 21 of them placed in various events. They worked together to place 7th in state at the University of Illinois. It's incredible. Great job. So people think that school can be kind of boring, but listen to these different topics that they studied. So placing 3rd in anatomy was Blake and Nansen. Great job. Placing 2nd in Crime Busters was Audrey and Imbal. A timely topic today. 4th place, Disease Detectives. Chloe and Charles. 2nd place, Helicopter. Alex and Nancy. Second place, Metric Mastery, Nathan and Audrey. Third place, Remote Sensing, Jason and Audrey. Third place, Water Quality, Lucy and Nathan. Second place with Botany, Mandy and Alexa. I think it's fourth place. Is it geocaching? Geocaching. Wow, I gotta get with it. I don't know what geocaching is. Sorry. Yaya and Asa, fourth place. Second place. Listen to this one. This might be my favorite. Ping pong parachute. Third place, pentathlon. Yeah! Joy, Mimi, Lily, and Marlene. So this is a quote from some of these amazing students. One said, "Science Olympiad has been pivotal for us, as it has showed us that what we are capable of. Science Olympiad is incredibly important to who I am today." So thank you all so much. Ms. Chole says, "Thank you all for allowing us to take this trip, supporting these students. They all were able to travel to the University of Illinois for the competition. They stayed overnight, had a wonderful time, were super mature, did an awesome job at the competition." She says it takes a lot of time, but they are truly some of the most incredible students, and it was so much fun spending time with them and celebrating their hard work and success. Thank you all so much. So if you're here for Science Olympiad, if you don't mind coming up at the spot where our amazing public speaker was a minute ago, and just if you can face the audience, we'll just do a quick photo for any parents or guardians who want to take one. So if you're here for Science Olympiad, we'll do Spanish awards in a minute.
Yeah, we take pictures.
So yeah, come on up. We'll get a quick photo.
Alright, so start keeping the front, let's go.
Get organized, get organized.
Here we go.
Someone told us to Claudia, involved.
Yeah.
Yo.
I want to get in on one of these two. Sorry.
Okay, wait, she's doing it.
All right.
God. You guys look here, come on.
Reach out, you all. So we've got one more. Our junior high. Our National Spanish Awards. So a big thanks to Senora Lopez and Senora Reyes. So this is the 2026 National Spanish Exam. We're incredibly proud of our junior high students. Their outstanding performance. Students demonstrated exceptional achievement in Spanish language proficiency. They earned recognition across multiple award categories. Get this. Students earned a total of, listen to all these medals, 4 gold, 11 silver, 5 bronze, and 11 honorable mentions. In addition to that, 20 of our students placed in the top 10 in the Chicago area. An outstanding accomplishment reflects their hard work, their dedication, their commitment to language learning. We had in the gold medal recipient category, Nathan, Audrey, Nawal, Nicholas. Give them a round of applause. Placing in silver, we had Lily, Marlene, Joy, Anna, and Nansen. Also was in that category was Freddie, Sophia, is it Lucia or Lucia? Alexa, sorry, thank you, Tanya, and Isabella. For bronze, we had John Paul, Daniela, Mandy, Lex, and Daniela. And our honorable mentions were Alex, Ayat, Uves, Minchao, Kylie, Chloe, Mateo, is it Hanya? Anya, thank you. Benjamin, Azan, and Juan. Excellent job, you all. If I have this correct, I believe the 10 students in the Chicago area, Nathan, Freddie, Audrey, Lex, Noel, John Paul, Nicholas, Mandy, Joy, and Daniela. Is that correct? Am I missing anyone?
If you got 10,
Okay, I think that was 10. I think that was 10. Awesome. Congratulations. Big shout out again to our Spanish teachers. Thank you so much for all you do, their dedication, their commitment to our student learning, as well as our families. Thank you for coming out, for supporting them in that journey as well. For anyone that's interested in learning more, the National Spanish Exam is a national online assessment and competition for students in grades 6-12. It recognizes and promotes achievement in Spanish language learning. All of you should be thinking about going on with your, help us out, is Ms. Luviano in the room?
Yep.
What do they want to strive for? The seal of?
Seal by literacy.
The seal by literacy. So an honorable item for you when you go into high school could be the seal by literacy, which is an awesome accolade and shows your strengths and skills and just being so incredibly linguistic. So thank you all so much for all you've done. Thank you, teachers. Big OJH night tonight, as well as Highland and ECC. So thanks so much, everybody. So it's no harm, no foul. If you want to hang out, you're more than welcome. But if you want to try to skate out, this is a good time to do that. Unless you want to stick around for
Pictures for the, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, pictures for the National Spanish
Thank
Awards. Thank you so much. I
No, it wasn't me,
apologize.
it was your phone.
Yes, photo, sorry.
Señora. Vámonos.
I'll get in a minute.
Like short people in the
Yeah,
front.
get in there.
Never said
You're
it.
in the
No, I'm in the bag. You guys get in the front. I'm in the bag.
Oh my God.
I won't let you get in there on your own. I'll come up in the middle there. There you go. There you go. Boss move.
One just like that, because we can kind of fail. 1, 2.
Awesome. Congrats, you all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you.
We're just, it's okay, yeah. Wait, do you know when we get our medals? Oh, yeah.
Award ceremony. We got the day of, award ceremony. Yeah. Oh, you want to? Yes. I brought it.
Now there was. Principals, it's so nice to have you all.
We got some more love coming. We got some more love. Don't worry. So a few more recognitions, just a general recognition. Last week in this district was Educator Appreciation Week. We always do it a week after traditional weeks do it. And the reason for that is due to our outdoor education. So we just wanted to give a quick plug and just mention how thankful we are for all of our hardworking teachers and educators across the district. The district does an amazing job of supporting our staff, but they do an even better job supporting our students. We had really cool opportunities with the PTA, doing tons of events in the schools. We tried our best to do just the small gestures of gratitude for all the work that they do. So thank you so much to all of our teachers. Last recognition is our staff retirees for 2026. So we just had a special retiree recognition with retirees and interested family and friends who showed up. There were laughs, there were a few tears. I think the retirees were more on the laughter side, and we were more on the tear side. But there was just a great opportunity to connect and just celebrate all of their amazing years of experience. So I just want to list out who those folks were. And if we could just wait in the end, we'll give a quick round of applause for all those. So Jose Garcia, Lori Linforth, Cara Novi, Renee Rowan, Lynn Rubin, Esmeralda Tapia, Dr. Karen Bradley, Terry Anderson, JD Lathrop, and Kathy Paranti, and we've got Kathy and Dr. Bradley here with us tonight. Thank you both so much for all this. We won't force you to do a photo like we do with the students. But if you want to, you're absolutely welcome to. Just haven't had a chance to work with both of you. I know I speak for the crew when I say how amazing you both are, and we appreciate all your years of service. Both have put in 9 to 10 years, incredible within the district. Their speeches, we're showering them with love and appreciation for all the work you've done. We're going to miss you. I think you put it best. There will be a hole to fill, undoubtedly, with both of you. So thank you so much again. Appreciate it. I think that is it for the recognitions. I think it's strategic plan presentation. Yep. All right.
You have a clicker.
Yep, thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. Awesome. All right, here we go. So we've had a few updates on this so far, I believe, November and February. And for the past 2 years, the administration has continued implementing the 23-25 strategic plan. And throughout that process, we've been engaging in how to best plan for the next plan itself, whether it be a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan. That's what we have been doing for the last year and a half, trying to figure out how to do that as well and as robustly as we could. So why strategic plan? It provides direction, priorities, and is intended to be inclusive, trying to get input from all members of the community. And we did our best with each one of those, some better than others. And some of the outcomes where we had shortcomings showed up in the plan's next steps itself. Just briefly, in terms of how this started, last summer of 2025, the board approved proposals. So we went out to bid to find a strategic plan provider. We had a number of great services that came in, and we ended up selecting Studer Education in August. The board approved Studer. One of the reasons we selected Studer was they provided what they sort of held their head high on, which was a 2-year commitment. So they don't just help develop the plan, but they will then stick around to monitor it. In fact, they actually planned to come tonight, but they were stuck in New Jersey, of all places. Skokie versus New Jersey, I would choose Skokie any day, but they couldn't make it. But they've been with us along the way, and they're going to be sticking with us throughout the year as well. In the fall, we started to work with Studer in developing a timeline, and then in October and November, we formed a steering committee with various partners. We had some community reps. We'll give those folks some accolades in a minute. In November and March, surveys, focus groups took place, data collection as well. In that process, we also had the equity audit from 2025, May of 2025, that we were able to incorporate into the surveys themselves. We also use that in the strategic planning committee group meetings. And again, as mentioned, in February, we had an update to the board. And in this just recent spring, we drafted a plan itself, a sketched plan, and we were able to provide that back to staff, particularly based on the committee feedback, to get their input on it. And we'll talk about that input in a minute. So from the board, we had our very own Emily Lonegro. Thank you so much, as well as Jeremy Glickman, who couldn't make it. So thank you so much for serving and spending your time. Both were highly engaged, very helpful along the way. We had Richard Kong, who's the executive director at the Skokie Public Library. They have also done some strategic planning, so it was really helpful to have Richard in the room to get his feedback. From the district leadership team, we had Kenya Austin, Lisa Laparini, our director of student services, Kenya, obviously our assistant superintendent of business operations, and then Dr. Sam Jedney, our assistant sup of educational services. From our classified team, we had Edgar Esteo, who is from Stetson, and then Garima Sharma, who is from Devonshire. We had Lisa Goico, who is at Stetson, as well as Lauren Sullivan at our Early Childhood Center with our Education Association. And then we had our very own Mr. Greg Hansen serving on the school leadership side of things. And as parents, we had Dr. Kenyatta Perry, who was a previous OJH parent, and then also has a student at Niles North. And then Jenna Simon, who has children at Highland. So it was a great team. They were all fully invested and did an awesome job looking through the feedback and really taking it into a lot of consideration. So the process is intended to lay out the groundwork and a strong foundation for the next few years, but it did not develop the goals themselves. Those will come next, and I'll talk through that in a minute. But what we came up with was an updated vision, mission, values, pillars, and what we're calling strategic priorities. The whole concept of this and the idea of making this a almost year-long process to develop is that we want everyone who had a part in it or who we want to have more of a part in it see themselves in the plan itself. So we had 385 initial survey responses. We had multiple focus groups. We took every one of those survey responses and we reviewed them verbatim. So we made giant packets, printed it out, and the steering committee went through line by line all of the feedback from all 385 of those responses. 159 staff members responded to the draft plan in April and gave significant helpful feedback on that. We had additional parent-guardian feedback on the values and the pillars. We definitely have an opportunity to get more community engagement and more feedback from parents and guardians. And you'll see that as a real priority area for the next several years. Again, the outcome here is intended to have people see themselves in the plan, as we're calling it one vision, one future. And the goal here is to have this set the course for the next 5 years. So the updated vision says that Skokie School District 68 is a thriving learning community where we prepare all learners to succeed, act with empathy, and contribute meaningfully to a diverse and changing world. Every one of those words was painstakingly argued over and deliberated upon in the rightful way. The mission itself is that each and every student is supported to belong, inspired to grow, and challenged to learn. The committee talked at length about that sequence and that you cannot learn unless you're supported and that you must feel belonging, as well as the growing piece to that as well. So we felt that cadence of supported to belong, inspired to grow, challenged to learn fit really well developmentally. And then we have now 5 core values. So we currently have 9 in the existing strategic plan. A lot of the same themes and same areas of attention with much more, how should I say, remembrance, an ability to recall it, and an ability for us to draw attention to it as frequently as we can. So wellness emerged, and that's defined by supporting the whole child through a welcoming, nurturing, culturally responsive environment. Equity shined throughout. We ensure that each student has access to the opportunities and support needed to succeed. Achievement is listed, and it's defined as inspiring a love of learning and high academic growth. Relationships, we learn and grow together through trust, clarity, respect, and shared purpose. And then a critical word, everyone, and that is that we cultivate inclusive environments where all feel valued and connected. Ironically, I believe the Village of Skokie's strategic plan that just launched also has the word everyone. We did not partner on that, but I think the coincidences there are really helpful as we look to just continue partnership within the village. But what the committee liked the most and wrestled on some alternative words is that it spells out we are. And the hope is that this becomes easier to reflect on, easier to feel part of, and again, like I said, easier to tie into some of the initiatives ahead. So we are Skokie 68. We're excited to market that and bring it forth with not just words, but also meaning and actions behind it. So 4 pillars emerged. These are intended to not go away for the 5 years. They are filters for the work that comes next. They're broken out into classroom, community, culture, and care. These were also defined and were items that the committee spent a significant amount of time determining initially, like where do we want to focus our time, attention, funds, etc. I will say that care seems to be a unique and new area of attention, supporting physical and mental health, developing empathetic relationships, contributing to the school and the broader community. And that, along with community, came out a lot in the feedback as positive areas of attention. You'll see some of that feedback here in a minute. So within each pillar, there are anywhere from 3 to 5 strategic priorities. And I won't go through these one by one, but what I do want to highlight is that this plan is intended to be much more authentic than strategic plans tend to become. And with that means that while these are 5 strategic priorities, we are going to build goals within each one of these, but we may not have those goals as a priority each year. And the idea and reality of it is that we can't do it all at once. But by having some incremental steps throughout, I do feel like this will become a more living plan than one that becomes memorialized on paper. So we're excited about that, but obviously in the classroom, this is where our majority of our academics are focused. But a big piece of that is an equity-centered framework. And my colleague, Dr. Samajendi, pointed out that it's one of the few priorities that starts with the word create. So that's something that we're already starting to think through, and Ed Services has been putting out a few ideas on what that could look like. But the real focus there is having some form of equity and structure that wraps around all that we do. So you'll see strengthen and ensure in some of the other areas, but this is one that we're going to need to create first along the way. Other than that, other things related to academic supports, classroom management, cooperative learning, curricular resources, which we'll talk a little bit about in a minute with regard to CFC and more about in June, and then professional learning for all staff. And we talked about figuring out from a vision standpoint, how can professional learning move beyond just the educators and the teachers? What can we think about for other team members so that they're inspired to grow and feel that sense of belonging in the district too? In the community pillar, a district communication strategy came out loud and clear, especially as it relates to connecting with families and gaining their feedback to see how we can improve the district, or how we can celebrate it, or how we can get more students like that out to the board meetings, because that was incredible. So that'll be a future focus. Partnering with local organizations, we do a great job at this already. So helping market that and then helping families be aware of those, I think, are tied together. Looking at inclusive professional learning to improve well-being. And you'll see elements of inclusivity, and particularly around professional learning in a minute as well. And then opportunities for family engagement and partnership that the committee talked about, trying to get families to feel more aware and involved in daily school happenings. And we've rolled out Parent Square, and we've gotten positive feedback, but we've also gotten feedback that it's still significant communication. And that's really tough to manage. So we're going to work on taking all that into consideration as we keep moving forward with that community focus. Culture was a big one, and again, you'll see those values showed up even in the priority. So living the We Are Skokie 60 values, and a focus on staff recruitment, retention, and professional growth. So things like competitive benefits, having professional learning satisfaction surveys, things we already do, but trying to make sure that they're tied into a bigger plan and that they potentially lead to changes. That was something we heard in the feedback, is closing the loop on surveys or feedback once we get those, so that the staff and even the community sees themselves in the feedback and they see how we're using it. Inclusive practices that honor and celebrate diverse identities, cultures, accomplishments, and experiences, so that students and families and staff experience a strong sense of belonging. When I presented before, we talked about, in full transparency, how this was one of the previous strategic plan items that we were excited to bring back and have more of a focus. I think COVID, and then a little after COVID, diminished some of this attention, just given the other priorities with student learning at the time. So the staff is eager and ready, and the team is interested in trying to bring this into more of a priority. So that definitely got a lot of praise and attention in the feedback also. And then opportunities for the district staff to provide input on initiatives and strengthening well-being and voice. And that was, again, kind of the closing the loop on feedback that we heard loud and clear throughout the feedback. That pillar of care that I mentioned earlier is being a highlight. Areas of staff morale were a focus. Celebratory occasions, even the retiree recognition tonight was intended to align with this and start to build out more of those rituals that our schools do a great job of, and we want to connect to that as well at the district ESC. Strengthening district policies and systems that support students and staff mental health. So not just the physical side there, which you'll see in a minute, but positive relationships, restorative practices, our schools already do a great job of that, and continuing again that sense of belonging. District wellness policy, so thinking about the physical side of students' well-being as well, is a new, I think, attention area for us as it relates to strategic planning. We obviously already do a lot of this work, but putting in the plan is new. And then opportunities for students to engage with and contribute to the broader community. So we have some ideas already at play with some of our leaders thinking about ways to get students out in the community. We clearly have amazing students, and we want to help them connect to real world learning wherever we can. So a lot there, right? So you'll see why it's 5 years, because it's a lot. And it's gonna take time to do all that work. So we'll work to prioritize that and then help bring the goals back, which I'll talk more about in a minute. In terms of the draft values, again, we didn't have a significant amount of responses, but overwhelmingly there was agreement, 70% strongly agreeing with those values. And again, that's the we are focus there. The pillars, we had 88% agreeing or strongly agreeing on the focus of classroom, community, culture, and care. And then when we went to the staff, and our principals helped us devote time to this, again, we had about 160 staff responses in April. And we asked this question of how well does the strategic plan align with the needs of the district? And we had about almost 80% that felt it was well or strongly aligned to needs. So I thought that was positive as well. Additional staff feedback. So strengths of the plan. Overwhelmingly, team members were excited about it being student-centered, to focus on the whole child. SEL came up, mental health and wellness. We've talked already as team members throughout the year and last year around things like screen time and looking at how to prioritize that and develop, really thoughtful responses to parent concerns and staff concerns as well. Again, that care pillar came out as a standout. Also, the equity, inclusion, and community alignment was something that was praised. There was a strong sense and feedback of acknowledgement, but also agreement with really focusing in on diverse student needs specifically. So there was a lot of thank you for specifically mentioning multilingual needs. Thank you for specifically mentioning special education needs, etc. Family engagement was a thing, as well as the civic piece and the real world connections to help the students feel like they're part of the community and that they are learning in the community too. The staff morale was something that was appreciated as well as the focus on retention, professional growth. Again, closing the loop on things like staff voice and how we use it. Majority of feedback felt that things were relatively easy to understand. The pillars seemed to make sense, and the values were appreciated for the We Are component. Overall, so what I want to point out is within the culture pillar, just trying to kind of model that already of how we're going to use the staff feedback. So 159 responses. I want to show you from that feedback, green items here are likely to be incorporated into the process, the procedural next steps. And you'll see why in a minute. There's a lot of the feedback that was constructive talked about, what are the goals? What are we going to do with these big foundational items? And then the blue items that you'll see in a minute are anticipated to be addressed in the outcomes of the strategic plan. So again, trying to model and show already, we are using this feedback and we're going to incorporate it into the next steps. So a key area for improvement was around clarity, culture, and connection. So staff expressed a need for specific actions, timelines, success metrics, clear alignment between goals, measures, and daily practice. So moving again beyond the words on a page and into some of the actual practices throughout the district. Increased accountability came out as well as progress monitoring. And again, those are next steps in the process that you'll see in just a minute on goal development and alignment. In terms of culture, equity, and inclusion, consistency was something that was echoed throughout, and having what they call authentic implementation across the schools. Something again that we're going to work on in a minute, and I'll show you some of the ideas behind that. And then some of the more outcomes-based pieces are high-quality training focused on some of the DEI efforts and initiatives, and doing so in a way that's aligned. We've had a number of schools, obviously this is something that we work on a daily basis, but we have some schools that have started some initiatives, some that have, some that have not. So we want to help focus on where it's working and help strengthen that across the district altogether. Stronger inclusion of all student groups and identities. Again, that's a hopeful outcome of some of the belonging pieces as well. Communication and trust was a category. Again, in terms of outcomes, our hope is that through consistent communication across the schools and with families and having that follow-up and showing how we're using feedback, that we'll have some of these items addressed. So visible alignment between words and actions, again, I mentioned that already. And then family community engagement, so strengthening the partnerships with families and local organizations, expanding real-world learning and engagement opportunities. So again, the feedback I'm hoping that you're seeing here, which I understand is generalized, they are things that ideally you saw in the strategic priorities here sort of echoed out throughout it. So in terms of next steps, we are going to be working to develop and align our goals. I think this visual is critical for the next few years in the district. Taking what is the vision, mission, and values, bringing that through the strategic plan, developing what will be called a district-wide scorecard, which we'll talk a little bit about more in a minute. Having school and department goals be aligned to that scorecard. PLC goals in an ideal world, that will take time. Classroom goals as well. And then the crux of this is to hopefully have those individual student goals and the actual learning items in the classroom be part of some of these 4 pillars that we just discussed. So that's the overall vision for alignment with this concept of one vision, one future. This is a sample, very bare bones example of what a possible district scorecard would look like. So in this particular example, we just took from a concept, framework structure, the pillar, the definition of the pillar, and if we had 3 annual goals related to the classroom, those would be developed, and then they would be reported on a quarterly basis at the boardroom, so that you as a board member and the public would see kind of how we're doing that. Are we behind? Are we making progress? Or are we on track? So again, would we have more than 2 potentially in community? Possibly. This is just meant to show you conceptually what a district scorecard would look like. What we're going to do next is try to build out that scorecard in June as an administration. So we have the gentleman we've been working with, Dr. Reggie Todd from Studer. He'll be coming to visit with the administrative team for a full day in June. We are already chewing through a lot of the staff feedback. The administrative team has taken the staff feedback and has started to put through it what could be measures and possible SMART goals. We don't have that in a spot just yet where it's really formulated. That's what we're going to do in June. But we did take all of that staff feedback and use it as an administrative team to just start to prioritize what could be a goal based on all of that. Then in July, the idea is that our school improvement plans, while already framework built on those, will have alignment to that district scorecard. So potentially some shift in priorities in certain spots, which would ideally down the road lead to department goals here at the ESC, as well as leadership goals that we all set. So the idea is that if there's a strategic priority in the plan, there's someone who is behind that as the owner of that priority. They may be calling on 3 or 4 other leaders to help lead it, but they're the owner of that particular priority. That's a big shift for us, and that will be a big change in terms of how we structure work, how we utilize our time, and something we've talked about as a team is it also means something needs to go, because we can't keep doing everything that we're all doing and take on new different priorities as well. So that's the work of the summer for the team to figure out what exactly are the goals that will align to the pillars and priorities. That's coming up in June. And then how are we going to build out individual goals for ourselves based on the school and department goals. The idea is to come back then in August and more broadly send out communications to the community about the strategic plan. So we received some really good feedback from a committee member. We looked at 219's example of how they've communicated out their strategic plan. We figured right now might be a little bit of a busy time for parents as well as staff. And honestly, we want to work on some of the actual communication of the plan, so breaking it out, getting some of the goals built. And then our goal is to hold ourselves accountable to an August, sort of back to school update for parents in the community on the new direction of the district with the new strategic plan. And then as you saw on the scorecard, the idea is we'll build out through our board calendar when and how to update you all on progress with that. And hopefully it feels like we're able to take what was a really big idea around these values that we all have and get it down into the classroom through our operations and obviously our funding as well. That was a lot. Questions, wonderings, things you'd like me to focus more on? Thank you for being a part of it. You all did a great job. It was really helpful. The committee's constructive feedback was so professional. I mean, even when we initially drafted it, we all felt really good about it. And the team said, we need more staff feedback on this. We need to go out to the staff. So we asked the principals for a little bit of time. And that was really, really helpful, particularly in this next section where we have to build the goals. Because you see, the priorities are broad. They're big areas of attention. So building the goals next will be, I think it's going to be probably one of the tougher processes for us to go through. But I think it's going to be exciting because it's going to help us focus even more on what we do.
Scott, I do have a
Sure.
quick question around a lot of work that you have planned for June and July, that with the teachers not necessarily being here in June, July. How do you see that playing out? Is this really the leadership teams working in the summer and then looping back in when the teachers come back on? How do you
Great
see
question.
the logistics of
So it's a great question. So for example, like our SIPs, our schools have SIP teams. So our goal is to help each year. We tend to do this anyway each year in the summer, June, July, spring. We look at SIP goals. We try to build out some focus and attention. And then our leaders do a great job engaging their SIP teams on how to sort of fill in the actions to go with those different goal areas. So I don't think that will change necessarily, but the work of where our attention is might shift. So if we build out, hypothetically, a focus on a communication plan, and we have to ask, for some structure to that, that might be something that a SIP plan takes into play that may not have been there before. I'm using it as an example. I don't want to have folks to think that's a plan, but I'm trying to help show that whatever we come up with will ideally plug into the existing school improvement team work that already exists.
I guess the reason I was just asking, on the mechanics is where you try to have such inclusive kind of process and buy-in, and so will the faculty kind of inherit, the teachers kind of inherit when they return, what the SIP plan is, and how does that feed into what their plans are, for the year?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, ideally there would have been more of a runway for that. One of the questions we asked the staff on an April date was, what measures would you like for us to consider as we go through this? So they gave a ton of feedback on how and what to focus on. And it was things like, don't just focus on standardized assessment, look at, multiple measures of our students' progress. So that's definitely all going to be part of that. We won't be starting from scratch in June.
They front load it, essentially,
Yes.
the kind of classroom level input for you all to then
Correct.
use that as you do this kind of department level, leadership level goal.
Yeah,
making.
absolutely.
Okay.
So we're basically taking their feedback, we're giving that to Studer and saying, here's what staff said, here's what administration thinks based on staff. Help us make this one.
Well, and I'll just ask one other question, then yield to others. The only two things that stood out to me. Well, first of all, just excellent work.
Thanks. This
Having
committee,
come off of 5-year strategic plan, I'm listening as both a participant and observer, so
Sure.
I appreciate the work and the volunteers. The sections on opportunities for improvement in the plan. I guess again, mechanically, there you highlight highlighted that they're really, really broad, understandably broad. I guess I was just curious of how do you go about addressing, like the mechanics of addressing the things in green, if there are considerations and concerns, and the things in blue, what's a plan for kind of digging into those? You know, more
Yeah.
consistent and authentic implementation across schools. So what's the plan for like doing that? Again, and is that work this summer? Is that work that you plan to build up over year 1, year 2, year 3?
Great question. So we definitely will need a multi-year approach, just given the amount that's here. But this slide, I think, is a good one to use as an example with that. So the clear alignment between the goals, the measures, and daily practice is just an example. Everything that we work to churn through from the staff and filter into goals this summer will be brought back to them in August with their return to school. Sort of you said this, here's what we heard, and here's what it looks like now. The progress monitoring and the sort of closing of the loop on these things, the scorecard's designed to do that as well. So we've kind of been playing around with this example like a school perception survey. We use it with a little bit of a starting point this year to kind of test it, but we can time that out and have more of a push, more of a market, more of a focus to have more staff participation in it, and then use that and see baseline. Staff felt the perception on belonging was this during the fall, during the winter it was this, and during the spring it was this. It's the same process we do with our students, but we don't often do it as much with our staff. So that will hopefully create some of that accountability for us as well as the progress monitoring. I think like with the one in blue around high quality training focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, our team's already looking at that, and we're saying we have a really exciting opener to our August Institute, which is going to definitely focus on those topics. And we're saying to ourselves, how can we, leverage what we already have as a system to do that work? So Institute days, what does professional learning look like, possibly as a framework? I know the team's already looked at several resources to see how this can become more of a whole district focus. So we have already like existing places for the work to take flight. It's just prioritizing it, right? And I think that will be the hard part this summer is sort of shifting around from, as an example, we started this school year with a focus really on safety. We built out new safety protocols. It's like safety and communication and some new vision within learning and teaching. And those three got the time, right? They were the ones that took the real estate. So we've already built the safety piece. You'll see like facilities don't really show up in the strategic plan because they're really great and we've done an awesome job here, and I can't take credit for that. The last several years, the facilities have been just greatly improved. So I guess I'm blabbing a little bit, but what I wanted to get through is that some of the channels already exist for the work to fit into. It's just making sure that the priorities are in the channel. So how do we use Institute days? How do we focus on Monday professional learning? What does that look like for staff? Is what they ask for going to show up, and will they feel like it's measured? And keep in mind, our administration's feedback is also included in that too. So I think it'll be really ideal to kind of cast that net and then see what comes of it. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah,
or is that
absolutely.
too
It sounds like there's
verbose?
a lot behind what's on the screen here and what's in the notes. There's a lot of already thinking on the implementation side of closing the loop on this. I was just, you've already clearly started doing the work and you're presenting what the work is, what the goal is, but you already seem to be moving toward how to address these areas for improvement. So it's not like aspirational. You're actually operationalizing already some of the things to do to respond to them. So
And I think we've also we've even paused some things too. So we were starting to lean into professional learning for the summer, and I asked team members to pause and say, hold on, let's do this right. Let's make sure we have the goals built out, and that's hard to do, right? Because we want to start moving and planning and getting this going as early as we can for staff and administration. But I also want it to be aligned, and I think that's the critical part to this, is making sure that the work we do, how we fund the work, how we spend our time, because that's a big resource, is aligned to the actual values that the community and the staff all requested.
Well, thank you for that. I just really respect that you're leaning into not necessarily having the same priorities each year. That's a right thing for an organization to do because everything is important, but making a decision as to what the priority for a given year is and not something else, you really gotta own that. So I respect
Yeah, I
that.
mean, it's easier said than done. It's kind of like packing. We all want to unzip that second rung on the suitcase and kind of smash as much as we can in, but we owe it to our team. I mean, we all met and we did an analysis the other week, and one of the, pieces of poster paper said, what will we not do? And that's a big part of this. So,
Thank you for that.
thank you.
I just wanted to say thanks. We've got 5 or 6 of the folks on the steering committee here in the room, a bunch that weren't. I know a ton of time went into this, and it shows just the diligence through the whole process. So thank you, all of you that were involved.
Thank you all. It was great. It was a great committee. I mean, we had like our first 2 meetings. Some of these values were like shaken out rather quickly, which was great. And then we just kept fine tuning. So it was a lot of good consideration based on the feedback that came in that I think made it easier. And I've always said, as a compliment to the staff, we have such a similar-minded group of staff that it makes consensus sometimes a lot easier than you'd think, which is awesome. All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you. Onward.
Thank you.
Onward. Okay. I think I have the other one too. Then.
Boy,
Okay.
now.
Oh yeah, just real quick, just a couple important dates. Monday, May 25th, Memorial Day, no school. Wednesday, May 27th, no school for Eid. Tuesday, June 2nd, 7 p.m., 8th grade graduation at Niles West. Very exciting. Monday, June 8th is the last day of school. It's still time for a snow day. You never know. Sorry, bad joke. Summer learning. Dr. Samajedny, how are we looking?
Yeah, so we are excited to kick off our summer school on July 6th. It'll run through the 23rd. Monday through Thursday. We are running a full day program this year. We've run half day in the past. So full day for most kiddos. We have a summer leap into kindergarten. So our incoming kindergarten from early childhood are invited for the first time. We have about 40 of those students coming in. They will participate in a half day program. So we're excited about that. We have about 140 summer leap elementary students coming in, so that would be incoming first grade through fourth grade. Our into fifth grade, pardon me. Our incoming sixth grade and seventh grade are going to be at the junior high. We have about 40 students participating in that. We also are running our newcomer program for our students who are new to the country. I think this is our fourth year with the newcomer program, so about 40 students there. So about 250 in all, give or take a few. And then we also are offering, again this year, a band and orchestra for those students. So keep some of that music flowing during the summer. So we're excited. The elementary and junior high curriculum is going to include, with a full day programming, it will include math, it will include literacy with curriculum coming from CFC. Teachers will be getting trained as soon as school is out. And then we have a rotation of extension activities. We are doing Lego STEM, we are doing some SEL related curriculum. We are doing a fun thing called the Cardboard Challenge. If you've never heard of it, it's been around for a long time, but the Cardboard Challenge will be an activity that the kids will rotate through. So we're just super excited to see how a full day goes. We will take stock when it's over and determine if we continue that for the following summer. But we're excited. Tons of planning has gone into this, hours and hours. So we're excited to kick it off.
Appreciate that. I failed to mention, speaking of graduation, as well as tons of planning, today we had both of our early childhood center graduation ceremonies. Absolutely amazing, heartwarming. Our coordinator of student services and early learning, John Sigler, did an excellent job, as well as the ECC team. They have been able to pull off this just perfect agenda. Emily was able to make it There were, again, similar to the retirement ceremony, there were laughs and tears along the way, but the students did an excellent job. Once again, we had future teachers, no principals this year. We had future teachers, doctors, service members, you name it. Someone mentioned that they plan to become a police officer, and before they handed the mic, they said, but during my lunch break, I'm going to be a painter. I thought that was great and probably a really awesome approach. So just some really, really fun, exciting things there. So thanks to the ECC team as well. And thanks, Christy, for the updates there on summer learning. June 18th is our next June board meeting. And then just a reminder, on June 19th, the district is closed for Juneteenth. All right, I have 4 FOIAs. March 28th, the district received a commercial request from Sherry Reed from Smart Procure requesting annual purchasing records from January 14th to current. The request is limited to readily available records without physically copying, scanning, or printing paper documents. Response was sent on April 23rd. April 2nd, the district received a commercial request from Justin Wienig from Starbridge requesting access and copies to records possessed by the district for purchase orders, payment records, non-person vendor entities, and that response was sent on April 22nd. April 7th, 2026, the district received a commercial request from O'Shea Smith from Sunlight Access requesting an electronic summary of purchase orders issued by the district from January 1st of 2022 through February 20th of 2026. The response was sent on May 4th. April 24th, the district received a second commercial request from O'Shea Smith from Sunlight Access. This time for recent contracts, agreements, amendments, and renewals by the district between January 1st, 2020 and January 29th of 2026 in connection with the following vendors: Mastery Prep, Albert I.O., IXL, Ingenuity, Khan Academy, Jumpstart, Texas College Bridge, Kaplan, Princeton Review, UWorld, Cambridge Educational Services, Schmoop, Texas College Bridge, Progress Learning, and Houghton Mifflin Harcourt Materials. The response was sent on April 30th. I think that's it.
Okay. The next item of business are the board updates. Our updates will be organized in 2 categories: liaisons and committees. We may not always have an update based on the timing of meetings and events, but we'll continue to revisit these items at our board meetings. So first up is Ed Red. Emily?
We did not have a meeting. We have one on June 5th. There's only 2 weeks left in the session, and all the education committees in the House are canceled. But there were 4 interesting bills in the Senate Executive Committee and the Education Committee. One had to do on biometric data that was restricting school districts from purchasing or using biometric data for students, including facial recognition, which is interesting, and it passed out of committee unanimously. So did an education tech bill that was about AI and specifically about using AI for grading. There were a bunch of other things in there, but specifically there's a requirement for school boards to adopt policies about any other kinds of AI use in classrooms. I'm sure we'll have guidance on that. That was also unanimously passed out of Senate committee. There's a bill right now, House Bill 5107, that's in the Senate Education Committee, that it's about panic alert systems that would require all school districts and private schools in 2028 to install a mobile panic alert system. If you know about Ulysses Alert, that's what they're talking about. There's lots of other things in there, and then there's a big cleanup bill for the just funding bill that lets us move money around different ways, especially in special education. But we have a big meeting on the 5th, and then I think the summit is on the 11th, like the mini summit. So we're going to that.
Just real quick to chime in with what Emily shared, we are working on some increased AI focus as it relates to guidance. The state is required to release a guidance on July 1st. We have a bit of a sneak peek on what we think that will entail, but we do have a team working really well to figure out what would be helpful for staff as it relates to AI guidance, as well as possible legal involvement to see what we can, should, and do. It's moving very fast and it changes a lot, so we are ready to get kind of caught up with some of that fast-moving AI pieces, but more to come on that for sure in August as it relates to both board awareness as well as staff.
All right, next up is NTDSE. I believe Jill sent in notes, correct?
I don't know. I'll double
I
check.
can go to the next thing while you check.
Sure.
Okay, next is collective bargaining. Both Jeff and I have participated over the past couple weeks. Hopefully, it will be resolved by the time school is out. I continue to be hopeful. Jeff, do you want to add anything to that?
No, it's just been really positive. It's been really nice to have really invested staff and union representatives who are consistent and thoughtful in what they're advocating for, and their focus isn't just on the staff, it's on the school and the students, and it's great.
Everyone I feel like is coming in with a shared purpose and understand that compromises need to happen. Okay, and then the collaborative for curriculum, I know Shira sent you notes.
Yeah, I can do that, and I can go back to NCDSC too. So, Jill reported that vacancies have been filled by excellent candidates, so that's good news for us because we work in partnership with NCDSC staff all the time. There is an update regarding a House bill, an Unemployment Equity Act, and that could involve 10-month employees filing for unemployment, but it will be heard on May 31st. And they have an audit that they are doing with 7 districts. We reviewed that and we're considering being a part of it, but we did our own with CEC, which you all saw the results on the last meeting or 2, if I remember correct. They are working on some curriculum items and are inviting some submittals regarding requests for innovation ideas. They gave a report from Malloy regarding registration being open for next year, and that the staff is working closely with D219 and D207 to support the transition to high school. In terms of satellite, they had a 7th grader named Eric who won the Infinitec Award. I don't know exactly what that is, but I think it sounds amazing, and they're interviewing and working on doing more of that as well. And then a professional learning report. They have plans in place for next year, and I think that's about it. Oh, sorry, one last one. They are working with a company to update NCDSC video to reflect new space and the services that they provide. So more of it sounds like more of a marketing approach on that. In terms of the CFC, the Collaborative for Curriculum, we had a great steering committee on Monday night, and they shared that on February 10th of this year, the Board of Ed at 73.5 signed on to the CFC intergovernmental agreement. So that's exciting. So that means that it's 73.5, 67, 68, 69, and NTDSC all being part of the CFC. One of the things I thought was interesting is they brought back and put forward their goals, which when we sign on, we are part of that. And there is a lot of alignment between their goals as well as the strategic plan. So things like guaranteed viable curriculum, using data to monitor individual student growth, redirecting resources to classroom instruction and various services, developing parent-school partnerships. So by inviting, supporting, encouraging parents to become active participants, that's literally one of our goals, which is great. And then expanding teachers' instructional capacity by providing all school employees with the skills to help students succeed. So I thought that was exciting to hear, and I was like, wait, we've got a few of those verbatim. They talked about accomplishments from last year. They did a really neat engineering, kind of a STEM-oriented process with a program called Kids Can Create, and had a lot of over 200 participants from that. They did work with literacy leaders and the curriculum piloting and adoption. We're going to talk a lot more about that in June. We had great involvement in that process, so thanks to both Dr. Schmidt as well as Dr. Samajedi and the team with that. 2 of our teachers were even featured in the video, but again, we're going to save that for June. They did some various other professional learning pieces as well, and I think that is about it.
Scott,
Yes.
going back to NTDSC, the Infinitec
Yes.
Award, I'm familiar with that. That's through an organization in Chicago, UCP Segwin.
Okay.
And it's for outstanding and creative use of assistive and adaptive
Love it.
communication equipment.
Got it.
And just to follow up on when I went to the last meeting, the para who had been a finalist was selected as a Golden Apple winner
Oh, awesome.
from
That's
NDDSC,
great.
one of 10 in the state, which is just amazing. So,
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. I think that's it.
Okay. I'm presuming, Emily, you don't want to add to the strategic
No.
plan? Okay. The one other thing to add, yesterday Scott and I went to Village Hall, met with Mayor Tennis, Chief Barnes. They also had their legal team there, along with all the other superintendents from Skokie, including D219, and then board presidents from those districts as well. The intention was to start building stronger relationships across the districts. This specific meeting centered on the violence that has occurred in the parks recently, specifically anti-Jewish hate. But the larger conversation was around how do we collectively work together across school boards and school districts to make sure that the culture of Skokie as a whole is shifted and that we're not all doing things in isolation. And so one of the big outcomes from that, and 68 shout out was one of the ones that was doing this really great, is having more comprehensive data on what these situations look like across the village. So for example, with anti-Jewish incidents, they have the reporting from the police, but they don't have any understanding of what that looks like outside of the police. And so aggregating all of the different types of hate incidents so that we can holistically look and say like, okay, in this area of Skokie, this is what the real issue is and how are we going to systemically shift it through the park district, through library, through village, and through schools.
Yeah, I would add, it was collaborative. We already do a great job connecting with the different schools as well as 219. So there might be some opportunities down the road for, even more shared focus and engagement. You heard in the strategic plan some of the belonging pieces around professional learning for us. So that will definitely show up. We also were able to just highlight as superintendents all the work that is already taking place in the schools across the district. And there was a lot of similarity with really descriptive items that everyone has done. So things like Museum of Tolerance that we've done with a great deal of success there. So just good things happening that again can be prioritized even more as we move forward with our strategic plan. So it was timely and I think appropriate content to be discussing.
Okay. The next item of business is approval of minutes. May I have a motion?
I move that the board approve the minutes from April 16th, 2026, Board of Education regular meeting. Excuse me, and April 16th, 2026, Board of Education closed session meeting.
second.
Bill Jordan?
Yes.
Lonegro?
Yes.
Sturbins?
Yes.
Workshop?
Yes. All right, the consent agenda is our next item of business. The consent agenda includes the personnel report as posted with the agenda for this meeting, includes employee recommendations, new hires, new positions, and resignations, financial reports, which include fund balances for April 2026, and the statement of position report, pay orders and expenditures, which includes accounts payable, statement of cash flow, and the P-card monthly report, and the payroll report. Does any board member wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? All right, if not, may I have a motion and a roll call vote to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented by the board president.
Second.
Lonegro?
Yes.
Sturbins?
Yes.
Workshop?
Yes.
Bill Jordan?
Yes.
Hold on, it took me a minute, sorry. The next item of business is informational reports and discussion items. Superintendent Grenz will provide us with an introduction and next steps. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We have a new press out, so we will have several long-winded policies for each one for the next 4 meetings. But we have 11 tonight. No major changes, but I do want to give you a quick high-level review. So 220 types of school board meetings. There is a reflection based on the Open Meetings Act prohibiting board meetings on election days. We also did put the dates, I put the dates back out for next year to the board today in an email to take a look at. We may want to reconsider our April organizational meeting. It's during Passover, so something to think through. We missed a Jewish holiday tonight, and so just something for us to look at. 220, school board meeting procedures, allows for board members to attend remotely while on active military duty. 2250, there are some FOIA updates to clarify that public records requests may be submitted in the body of an email. That the district may request verification that the requester is a person. This was a new procedural piece that came out based on the number of AI FOIAs that is starting to grow. That will hopefully save Zoraida some time. 2260.
Yeah, we're gonna find out if she is a person.
Yeah, no. 2260, uniform grievance procedure. Just some citation updates there regarding just really renumbering. Title 9, 2265, no policy changes, legal reference updates. 440, no policy changes. 4165, awareness and prevention of child abuse and grooming behaviors. I do want to walk through this one. So this removes prior parent notification requirement on K-8 sexual abuse prevention instruction. There was a repeal of that statute. There's also a change that we talked about before, and I apologize, I don't have it verbatim in front of me, about education on this topic shifting to Illinois code. So it's a bit more of just where does the requirement live in code or policy. I don't anticipate any practice-related changes stopping on those items, but where the accountability lies has shifted at a higher level. 530, hiring process, clarifies that employers may not take adverse employment actions solely based on receipt of a no-match discrepancy notice. 550, there's some references and updates to state that substance use prevention and recovery guidance resources are included to support staff. An additional legal citation has been adjusted. Leaves of absence. There is a new provision related to Family Neonatal Intensive Care Leave Act effective June 1st, 2026. So I believe that is allowing for care to be extended to neonatal situations should they exist as well. 5330, sick days, vacation holidays, and leaves. This is just updated again to reflect that updated Family Neonatal Care Intensive Care Leave Act. And those are the 11 for tonight. The language is not any major shift in any of those. I don't anticipate a change in practice either.
Thank you.
I guess the one question I had that would probably affect you guys, based on, and I could be totally wrong, the student handbook has to shift to include warnings and information about sexual abuse. Does it already?
We do have a little bit of a blurb in there. It's small.
Yeah. Because that's more like specified what you have to include now.
Yeah, and we are going to update it each year, and it looks really great now. So under the parent and student resources section of the website, the team made it into a flipping book, so it's much more easy to reference, and you can search it. But there's a couple of sections in it.
It's on my summer to-do list.
Sounds great. All right, the next item of business is the approval of the 2026-2027 educational services agreements and contracts, including iReady, in the amount of $91,655.50, and the Metro Mathematics Initiative in the amount of $71,200 as presented. May I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the 2026-2027 educational services agreements and contracts as presented.
Second.
So this is just our annual update of contracts for iReady, for the diagnostic assessments, as well as the personalized learning, and then for MCMI, math professional development.
Surbics,
Yes.
Warsaw,
Yes.
Full-Jordan,
Yes.
Longo.
Yes. All right. The next item of business is the approval of the 2026-2027 Consolidated District Plan. May I have a motion?
I move that the board approve the consolidated district plan for 2026-27 as presented.
So this is the
Oh, I second
annual, oh, sorry, I'll second, thank you. This is the annual annual CDP, which is what kicks off all of the title grant applications. So nothing of substance changed from this year's application compared to last year. The only new component is the district family engagement plan, which is a new requirement, and that was included in the memo for you to see. We've always had school plans, school compacts, but new language now requires a district plan.
Warshaw,
Yes.
Paul Jordan,
Yes.
Lonegro,
Yes.
Sturbins.
All right, the next item of business is the approval of the 2026-2027 required annual student fees as follows. Book and material fees at $120 and technology fee at $15. Optional fees include voluntary bus rider fee of $240, voluntary junior high yearbook fee of $20, and voluntary early childhood preschool tuition of $3,280. May I have a motion?
I move to approve the 2026-2027 required annual student fees as follows. Book and material fees at $120 and technology fee at $15. Optional fees include voluntary bus rider fee of $240, voluntary junior high yearbook fee of $20, and voluntary early childhood preschool tuition of $3,280.
Second.
I mean, nothing really on this one. We continue to reevaluate and are just making sure we're really mindful and cognizant of the families and students we serve. And we haven't had a need to increase it in any way.
Paul Jordan,
Yes.
Lonegro,
Yes.
Sturbins,
Yes.
Warshaw.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the last item, which is very exciting.
I'll let Emily do that one.
Yeah, do you, well, are you allowed to read it? You can read it if you
No,
want.
I'll make a motion.
Is the approval of the 2026-2030 strategic plan. May I have a motion?
I move to approve the strategic plan for the 2026-2030, for 2026-2030 as presented.
Second.
I mean, as I mentioned, just the breadth of the plan is there. The next step is the depth. And I think we've got a great team to deliver on it. So we're excited and we want to make sure that we're bringing it back to the staff. It will definitely be a part of the opening and return to school. So we're just really excited and thankful for everybody's input and that it came out the way it did. It looks really strong, and when we all looked at it, we're like, this is 5 years, right? Not 3. And I think it's gonna take some time, but there's already been a ton of traction and excitement about a lot of the items. So thank you everyone for the feedback and being a part of the process.
Lonegro,
Yes.
Sturbins,
Yes.
Warshaw,
Yes.
Paul Jordan.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. The next item of business is entering into closed session of the board. May I have a motion?
I move that the board enter into closed session for the following items. Collective negotiation matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, 5 ILCS 120/2C2. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be disclosed or may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this Act 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
Good job.
I need a second.
Second.
Sturbins,
Yes.
Warshaw.
Yep.
Paul Jordan,
Yes.
Lonegro.